Bill Belichick used to make grown men cry with a glance. He built a dynasty out of silence, sweat, and sad post-game pressers. But now, he's that washed-up warlord wandering the NFL wasteland, wondering why no one will return his calls. This man had the football world on a leash, 6 rings, genius-level game plans, a hoodie that might have been stitched by Satan himself. But strip away Brady, and it turns out Belichick's real superpower was riding the coattails of the greatest QB to ever live. Fast forward to 2025. He's unemployed, unwanted, and coaching at UNC's Pro Day, like he's auditioning to be the world's most overqualified gym teacher. Not Alabama, not Ohio State, UNC. A school where the best NFL prospect was probably the kicker. Belichick is out here drawing up linebacker drills for dudes who'll be lucky to land a CFL tryout. It's not giving back to the game, it's football purgatory. And let's be clear, this isn't some noble second act. This is a man so addicted to control, he'd rather cosplay as a position coach than admit the league passed him by. Everyone else saw a cliff. He drove straight off it while screaming, "Do your job!" The hoodie isn't feared anymore. He's pitied. He's gone from emperor to LinkedIn motivational speaker, posting blurry photos with captions like, "Great to get back on the field with future stars. #humbled. This is what happens when your legacy is built on someone else's arm, and you refuse to evolve. Belichick didn't adapt, he calcified. And now he's a fossil in a hoodie, wandering college campuses like a man trying to network his way back to relevance. He could have gone out a legend. Instead, he's the NFL's ghost of Christmas past, roaming the sidelines, haunting a league that moved on without him. Let's kill the myth right now. It was never 50-50. This wasn't a breakup. It was a jailbreak. Brady escaped a joyless prison run by a hoodie-clad control freak who thought smiling was a sign of weakness. And the moment Tommy touched down in Tampa, he did the one thing Belichick hasn't done in nearly 2 decades without number 12, win a damn ring. Belichick, meanwhile, he drafted Mac Jones, handed him over to Matt Patricia, a man who looks like he manages a Waffle House and calls it the lab, and called it a plan. Brady built a new empire in a new conference, in a new system, with a new coach, in literally one offseason. He took a bunch of underachievers, sprinkled some avocado magic on them, and held the Lombardi by February. Bill, he made the playoffs once without Brady and got cooked by Josh Allen so thoroughly, Buffalo offered to Uber him back to Foxborough. And here's the real kicker. Bill wanted credit. He spent 20 years acting like Brady was a plug-and-play QB, said any of his guys could win. So he cycled through Cam Newton, Mac Jones, Bailey Zapp, and ended up looking like a Madden simulation gone wrong. When Brady left, he proved it wasn't the Patriot way. It was the Brady way, the discipline, the championships, the locker room buy-in. It wasn't Bill's cold stares and bad draft picks. It was Brady dragging the whole operation uphill with a perfect jawline and a borderline psychotic work ethic. Bill thought he was Batman. Turns out, he was Alfred. He played chess for 2 decades and never realized Brady was the board. And now, Brady retired with 7 rings, a media empire, and the power to sit on roast thrones while legends line up to praise and roast him. Bill, he's on the outside looking in, wondering why nobody's offering him a headset, while Gronk gets booked for WrestleMania and Brady cashes checks from FTX, allegedly. The divorce didn't ruin Brady's legacy, it exhumed Belichick's, and left it exposed like a corpse in a cheap hoodie. Let's stop pretending. Bill Belichick the coach didn't fail. Bill Belichick the GM kneecapped him. This man has been sabotaging his own team like he's deep cover for the Jets. He built an empire with late-round steals and overlooked grinders. Then started believing his own hype and drafting like a YouTube comment section. N'Keal Harry over Deebo Samuel. DK Metcalf and AJ Brown? That's not a miss. That's a war crime. He traded a 2nd-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. Meanwhile, DeAndre Hopkins went for a sandwich and a Capri Sun. Then there's his obsession with mid-round tight ends. Not a tight end, 2, back-to-back in 2020. Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. Combined career stats? About the same as me, and I've never touched a playbook. And let's not forget his free agency spending spree in 2021. He dropped over $160 million on mid-tier talent like Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne. Like he just discovered Madden franchise mode and clicked sort by overpaid. But the worst part, he kept making the same mistakes and daring anyone to challenge him. Because Bill doesn't need a GM. Bill is the GM, and the head of scouting, and the director of player development, and the final voice on who starts, who gets cut, and who gets buried behind the depth chart because they once smiled in a meeting. This isn't just arrogance, it's organizational malpractice. And while Kraft sipped wine in his owner's box, Belichick turned the Patriots into a talent graveyard, with a defensive coordinator calling plays on offense. He drafted Mac Jones, surrounded him with B-team receivers and tight ends, then acted shocked when the kid melted down faster than a Pop-Tart in a toaster fire. And what was Bill's fix? Bench him for Bailey Zapp, a guy whose name sounds like a Mountain Dew flavor and whose ceiling is serviceable in the CFL. This is the legacy he built without Brady. Bad drafts, panic trades, dollar store free agents, all wrapped in smug defiance. Belichick the GM undermined Belichick the coach, and when the whole thing collapsed, he just tightened the hoodie and pretended it was a weather issue. The Patriot way. Ooh, sounds elite, right? Discipline, accountability, no nonsense. One voice, one team, no individuality. Except here's the truth. Without Tom Brady, the Patriot way is just workplace depression wrapped in a hoodie. Belichick strutted around like a Sith Lord, treating joy like it violated team policy. Players weren't just expected to perform, they were expected to suffer for the right to win. And they did, when Brady was there to pull him over the finish line. But take him out of the equation, suddenly the culture becomes a grind. Veterans leave. Free agents ghost your calls. Rookie QBs rot behind bad rosters and worse play callers. All while Belichick mumbles through pressers like someone just unplugged him mid-sentence. Turns out, players don't want to play in a joyless hellscape where smiling is considered a personal foul, especially if it ends in a 7-10 record and a first-round beatdown. Remember when other teams tried to copy the Patriot way? Yeah, they learned the hard way. It only works when your quarterback is a maniacal cyborg with a vendetta against mediocrity. Brady was the buy-in. He was the accountability. He was the reason everyone shut up and did their job, because he'd win them the game. Without Brady, Belichick's system has the charm of a DMV visit during a fire drill. Asked a long list of players who came to Foxborough, hated their lives, and left with a therapy bill. Or the ones who got benched for showing a hint of personality. Or the free agents who heard the pitch and said, yeah, I'd rather go 9-8 in Miami and enjoy my job. This wasn't a system, it was a Brady-fueled illusion, like a haunted house that only works with the lights off. Once you flipped the switch and saw what was behind the curtain, it was just a crusty old man snapping at reporters and mismanaging timeouts. The Patriot way didn't age. It evaporated the second Brady boarded that flight to Tampa. Belichick tried to run the same program without the engine. Turns out, all that no days off stuff hits differently when you're losing to the Colts on primetime. Picture this, the greatest NFL coach of all time, 6 Super Bowl rings, 300 career wins, and now he's running linebacker drills at UNC's Pro Day, wearing a look that screams, please let me in, I can still coach, I swear. It's not a second act, it's a career hostage video. This isn't Alabama, this isn't Georgia, this is UNC, a basketball school, where half the prospects will be lucky to make a preseason roster. And yet, here's Bill, clipboard in hand, handing out pointers like a youth camp counselor who lost a bet. Let's not dress this up as mentorship, this isn't giving back. It's desperation cosplay, from a man who used to run the most dominant dynasty in NFL history. He went from scheming to stop Mahomes, to correcting the footwork of a tight end who might get drafted after the long snapper. This is what the fall looks like when you don't know when to quit. No job, no offers. Not even a whisper from the Commanders, who hired Dan Quinn like it was a clearance sale. Belichick, the emperor of control, is now unattached and uninvited, showing up at pro days unannounced like a divorced dad crashing his kid's college visit just to hand out unsolicited life advice. There's no team, no headset, no war room, just a 71-year-old man in cargo shorts, reliving glory days through underclassmen while pretending he's just staying sharp. This wasn't a low point, this was rock bottom in a hoodie. And the worst part? He doesn't see it. He still thinks he's one phone call away from another dynasty. He's not. The league's moved on. The Emperor has no team, no quarterback, and no clue. From Foxborough to Chapel Hill. Not as a legend on tour, but as a coach with nowhere else to be. That's not a comeback. That's a funeral with drills. Bill Belichick didn't just fall off. He nosedived into irrelevance with his hoodie on backwards and his ego in cruise control. He could have walked away a legend. He could have retired right after Brady left, frozen time as the cold-blooded architect of the greatest dynasty the NFL had ever seen. Instead, he stuck around like a sitcom that should have ended 3 seasons earlier, repeating the same plot. Bad roster, bad quarterback, bad results, but somehow, even worse vibes. He wasn't outcoached, He was outdated. The league evolved. He didn't. While McVay and Shanahan were building offenses with motion, misdirection, and chaos, Bill was out here running ISO plays like it was 2003, and Matt Light was still on the roster. He chased Don Shula's win record like it was the Holy Grail, and lost everything else along the way. His mystique, his coaching tree, now just a pile of scorched earth, his job, his grip on reality. And now, he's the guy nobody wants. The greatest coach of all time, reduced to a LinkedIn legend, running cone drills for fifth-round linebackers and hoping someone, anyone, remembers who he used to be. The hoodie is still there, but the empire, the fear, the power, gone. Bill Belichick was once football's Darth Vader. Now he's a dude in sweatpants, showing up to job fairs in disguise.